Hello, I'm Auriel Majumdar. I'm a creative coach and the mentoring consultant for Help Musicians on Co-Pilot, the Musicians Mentoring Network. In this short video, I'm going to introduce the mentoring life cycle. Research shows that mentoring relationships have a predictable life cycle that can be broken down into clearly recognisable phases. This is useful for you to know before you set off so that you don't worry if things build slowly at first or feel disappointed when the energy tapers off and you feel like there's less learning towards the end of your time together. This is just how mentoring goes and can be planned for if you know what to expect. So let me explain more. The first thing you need to do as a mentoring pair is arrange what's known as a chemistry session. This is to be organised by the mentee and is a 30-minute informal meeting outside of your 8-hour commitment to see how you get on, introduce yourselves and get to know a bit more about each other. In this chemistry meeting, you might also want to talk about more personal things such as likes, dislikes, views on music and your hopes for the mentoring relationship. Talking about all of these things before getting started will help you develop connection and rapport, and most importantly will help you build trust, which is essential if you're going to work well together. The chemistry session is also the place to agree the ground rules for your mentoring relationship. It's a given that anything you discuss is confidential between the two of you, but talking frankly at this stage about what this means in practice will build trust and help you avoid misunderstandings further down the line. Other ground rules you might want to agree on will include practical things like how frequently you're going to meet, who's going to take responsibility for setting up the meetings, what you think about making contact in between times and what to do if one of you needs to cancel. Agreeing these things before you start will mean that you have more clarity and can return to this agreement if you hit problems later. This is also the time to have a conversation about the level of challenge the mentee is up for and what kinds of support they think they will find most helpful. Once you are both agreed on the ground rules for how you're going to work together, you can then complete the mentoring agreement, which you can find in the online portal. This needs to be completed by both the mentee and the mentor individually prior to starting the mentoring journey. The information will be stored in your profile while you're part of the programme. By the end of the chemistry session, you should both feel excited to get started and have a clearer idea of how you're going to work together. However, if for any reason you feel you're not a good match, then you can contact the Co-Pilot project manager and go back into the network to be rematched. The first mentoring meeting is the time to start setting goals. These goals can be quite broad initially, so don't worry about being too specific, but you definitely need to have a conversation about what you'd like to achieve in mentoring so that your work together has energy, purpose and a direction of travel. If you're the mentor, then your role here is to help the mentee clarify what they want to get out of mentoring, as well as supporting them to identify the actions needed to get there, and maybe even the timescales for these actions too, if you can. If you're a mentee, you'll be responsible for actually doing the things you've committed to, but your mentor can help you create a plan and will challenge you to keep on track with this in subsequent meetings. There'll be an activity log template available in the online portal for you to record what you've agreed at the first meeting. You can use this regularly throughout your mentoring relationship as a helpful way to keep on track with your agreed goals. By the time you get to the second or third mentoring session, you're likely to experience a sense of shared energy and it should feel as though you're really making progress together. It's useful to start each meeting with a review of what was agreed last time and how the mentee got on with the actions they committed to. This can then lead into a conversation about what the mentee wants to focus on in that particular meeting. This sounds relatively straightforward, but it's very common for people not to make progress in a linear way. Sometimes it can feel like you've hit a roadblock together. This is where great listening is a valuable asset for the mentor, helping the mentee to work through why they couldn't take the actions they wanted to and understanding what's getting in their way. If the mentee gets stuck, then the mentor might usefully ask some exploratory questions to help the mentee reflect and move forward. Like, what happened? What was going on there? What did you learn from the experience? And what will you do differently the next time you're faced with a similar issue? All of these questions will help the mentee to reflect on their experiences and gain new insights. At the end of each mentoring session, make sure to clarify what's been achieved and be precise about what's to be done between this session and the next, especially if the mentor is to arrange something on the mentee's behalf. Don't be afraid to set a few small actions. Sometimes these can have a powerful unlocking effect and inspire confidence when they're achieved. Don't worry if the goals you set in that first meeting wander a bit or evolve into something else. This is very common also. What's happening here is that as the mentee is learning and growing, they'll view their original goals differently and may want to prioritise different things. The mentor's role here remains the same. Help the mentee to think through and clarify what they want to achieve now and how they'll know when they've got there. We'll look at the winding up and moving on phase in another of these short videos, but I hope this has given you a clear idea about how mentoring progresses so you know what to expect and what's needed of both of you at each stage. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions about the mentoring process, then please feel free to contact the Co-Pilot Project Manager at mentoring@helpmusicians.org.uk.